morning. It is 6 a.m. here in Vienna. I've been up since midnight, so there is no point in laying around trying to fall asleep. So I decided I am going to go to the Ringstrasse today and take you all along with me. The Ringstrasse is Vienna's grandest boulevard. It was built in 1865 when the old military installations and ancient city walls were demolished. It is lined with some of Vienna's grandest buildings and most beautiful parks. So I thought I would take you all with me, and I will be back when we get up near the Ringstrasse. See you soon. So along the way to the Ringstrasse, I'm now passing on Kohlmarkt, and Kohlmarkt is where all our favorite shops are. So I will insert some pictures of the shops for you all to enjoy, and we are almost to where I want to start today. On a side note, definitely be stopping in here tomorrow because there is a little something that I've got my eye on at Ferragamo. So I will certainly, maybe, possibly have an unboxing for you all at some point this week. All right, I am nearly at the Ringstrasse. I am standing in St. Michael's Square. What you're looking at now is part of the Hofburg Palace, the winter residence of the Habsburg monarchy. It is just way too massive. I'll never be able to get anything in one shot, so you'll have to trust me on this. But this is one of the gates to the palace, so I'm gonna go right through there, and I will see you on the other side. Just passed through the gate, and now I am in one of the interior courtyards of the Hofburg Palace. This massive monument here is Emperor Franz I, not to be confused with Franz Josef, who I will be talking about more today, as we are going to have more encounters with him. He and Maria-Theresa were probably the two most famous monarchs who ever ruled Austria. Up here, along here, and here are the Imperial apartments. They, like Schönbrunn, are still decorated as they were under Franz Josef's reign. So I've been in there a million times. I will probably go in again just because they are spectacular and beautiful. So as I'm sure you can see right now, there are many different styles to this palace because it was constructed over several centuries, and most monarchs left their mark in some fashion on this palace. Franz I ruled in the early 1800s, and then Franz Josef was, I believe, 1848 to 1916. That's the dome that we saw on the other side from St. Michael's Square. Now I'm going to go through there, and I will show you the newest part of the Hofburg Palace. I have arrived in Heroes Square, and the Ringstrasse is just right beyond the gate to the palace. Of course, the Hofburg was here long before the Ringstrasse was, but it was on the very edge of the center city. So the space I'm standing in now, and the space beyond the street and beyond these two buildings here, which you'll see in better detail later, is where all the military ramparts were and the ancient city walls. So this here is the newest part of the Hofburg. It's called the Neue Burg. I believe it was just finished around 1915, 1916. One of the Hero Square is called so because of the heroes that are displayed here, and that statue is Prince Eugene, a war hero, and Archduke Karl is right behind me. And from that center balcony up there in 1938, Hitler proclaimed the annexation of Austria. So a little dark period in history for sure. And here is Archduke Karl. They were two of Austria's greatest military heroes, so they are commemorated here in this massive square in front of the newest part of the palace. The original intent was to have an exact replica of this right over here to create a forum with those two buildings there. But those original plans were not carried out, and I'm quite happy about that because it does just leave this wide open, beautiful space here. And you can still see part of the Hofburg, and then it extends that way as well. So it's really, really, really quite massive. And now I'm going to head right through there and show you all one of my absolute favorite places in this city. So stay tuned. Welcome everyone to the Volksgarten, or People's Garden. This is absolutely one of my favorite places in this city. So I'm going to show you all quite a bit of it because it's absolutely beautiful. This space was cleared when everything was removed, like I said before, and this was the first public park in Vienna, and it's absolutely beautiful, and it's famous for its ring of roses. So I will shut my mouth in a minute when we get over there and walk you through some of it in silence so you can see the beautiful, beautiful roses. Arrived at the rose garden part of the Volksgarten, and it's a ring of roses that extends all the way around, so all the way down to the end and all the way back down. Again, getting washed out here because of the sun, but this place gets extremely crowded as well, so you have to come here in the early morning if you want to film anything, and it is most spectacular in early June when all the rose bushes have just bloomed. Some of them are still in bloom, but some of them are not in bloom in August. So I'm gonna be quiet for a minute and just take you with me as we take a little walk down here so you can see all these beautiful, beautiful roses. Also some lovely fountains in the garden as well, and center flowers over there, but it is just really spectacular. Lovely place to come and just sit and relax in Vienna. Never tire of this place. All right, I'll insert some more pictures. I'm gonna go over and pay a little visit to a special someone and I'll tell you all about her when we get there shortly. I've arrived in this secluded little part of the garden to pay a visit to a special someone that I always come see when I'm here in the Volksgarten, and that is Empress Elizabeth, also known by her nickname Sisi. She did live an extraordinary life, so I am going to tell you a little bit about her. I'm not zooming in because the audio diminishes and I don't know why, but when she was 16 years old, Sisi married the 23-year-old Emperor Franz Joseph. He was extraordinarily handsome, and she was considered to be the most beautiful woman in the world. They were also first cousins, which wasn't so unusual during that time for first cousins to marry one another, and their mothers were the ones behind it. However, Sisi was not the intended bride. The mothers wanted her older sister, Helena, for the emperor, and they arranged a meeting, and Sisi was present. It didn't take long for the emperor to fall for Sisi, and he told his mother if he could not have her, he would have no one. His mother relinquished, and they were married here in Vienna. But that relinquishment is a big accomplishment in itself, because although he was emperor, if there was one person who may have been as powerful and influential as him, it was his mother, the Archduchess Sophie. Sophie was so powerful and influential that she convinced her own husband, heir to the Austrian throne, to relinquish his place in the succession in favor of their son. She was also referred to by foreign dignitaries as the only man in Vienna. Well, this was a great compliment to her and a great insult to the male-dominated Austrian aristocracy. So Franz Joseph and Sisi were married, and unfortunately there was no fairy tale to be had. Although the emperor loved her dearly, Sisi quickly became unhappy. She had a strong dislike and distrust of her overbearing mother-in-law. She hated court life, and she was rarely in Vienna. She also suffered some pretty significant personal tragedies. The first, her 2-year-old daughter Sophie dying, which haunted her for the rest of her life. Then in 1889, her son and heir to the Austrian throne, Crown Prince Rudolph, shot his mistress and killed himself in a murder-suicide. Then in 1898, while in Geneva, the Empress was assassinated. Upon hearing the news, the Emperor said, "You have no idea how much I loved this woman." So very, very romantic how much he loved her, but really unfortunate that their love story was ruined by him simply being an emperor. And she had said that when it was clear what his intentions were, she had said to a confidant how much she liked him, but quote, "if only he weren't the emperor." I have left the garden and I'm now on the Ringstrasse, and the first building I want to show you is I believe it's neo-Gothic. It is the Vienna City Hall. It appears the film festival is going on. There is a huge plaza and park in the front of it, so I can't get any further access to it, but it is a stunning building, and it's lit up at night, and it's just beautiful. It glows like it's gold. It is gorgeous, but yep, there it is, City Hall. Now I'm gonna go across the street because the building behind me is one of my favorite buildings in Vienna, so I'll show you it from the other side. This building here is the Hofburg Theater. It replaced the original theater, which was part of the Hofburg complex when it was torn down because of the construction of the Ringstrasse. The Hofburg Theater was built right here. Beautiful, beautiful building. One of my absolute favorites. It's simply breathtaking. Now I'm doubling back and walking in the other direction on the Ringstrasse. So we'll go past the Hofburg again, and I'll show you some of the other buildings. And I do want to say, I know I'm gonna say the wrong words and mispronounce things in these vlogs, but it is kind of a little bit challenging to think on your toes when you're trying to film. I'm gonna be editing on my iPad, and it's very difficult to edit in a way I would on my laptop. So just wanted to mention that. We are now approaching the Austrian Parliament building. The Volksgarten is right across the Ringstrasse from it. It's a spectacular neoclassical building. They just completely refurbished the entire interior. I've yet to go into it, but that might be something that I'll look into. And there's the Volksgarten, so you get a lot of bang for your buck on the Ringstrasse. I have arrived in Maria-Theresa Platz, or Maria-Theresa Square, so named after the great Empress and the massive monument to her in the center of the garden here. Maria-Theresa reigned from 1740 to 1780. Her father did not have any surviving male heirs and named her heir to the Austrian throne. Upon his death, of course, some weren't happy with the idea of a woman ruling over them, and that sparked the War of the Austrian Succession. Maria-Theresa was victorious and went on to reign for 40 years. She is considered to be one of the greatest monarchs whom ever lived, and the greatest monarch of the 18th century, which is a huge compliment considering another woman, Catherine the Great, was over in Russia ruling at the same time. But this monument is certainly impressive, and it is flanked by two identical museums. The one on the right is the Museum of Natural History, and the one on the left is the Art History Museum. I will definitely be going in there during this trip to see some of the wonderful art. I'm not so crazy about fossils and shit like that, so I won't be going in the Natural History Museum, but there she is, towering above in her rightful place. The Hofburg is right there, Heroes Square. So we've kind of come full circle, but I will be heading on further down to show you all some other things, and I'll insert some photos of these things here. They'll be a little more centered than the video has been. now on the back side of the newest part of the Hofburg Palace, entering the Berg Garden. So the Berg Garden would have been the private gardens for the Imperial family at the Hofburg. It's not a very big garden, and it didn't need to be because they spent their summers at Schönbrunn. So they wouldn't have been here, or when they were here rather, it wouldn't have been warm enough for them most of the time for them to enjoy the garden. But it is quite lovely nonetheless, and there's a really magnificent monument here that is just around these bushes. So I definitely wanted to show you all this because it is truly spectacular. And that is the monument to Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Unfortunately, what people know about Mozart comes from the film Amadeus, which was a great movie, but not very factual. He was not a womanizer, an adulterer. He was certainly not a buffoon as portrayed by Tom Hulse, as much as that portrayal was really fantastic. It also did not, what's the word I'm looking for? I just had it in my head. It did not portray Antonio Salieri, the character played by F. Murray Abraham, in the best light either. Nor did it portray Emperor Joseph II well either. So it portrayed Mozart as a buffoon, Salieri as a mediocrity, and the emperor as a bumbling idiot, which couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, if there was jealousy between Mozart and Salieri, it would have been coming from Mozart towards Salieri. Salieri was much more popular, much more revered in Vienna than Mozart was, and some of the commissions Mozart received, he received only after Salieri turned them down because he was too busy. But I did want to take and show you this beautiful monument. I love classical music. My 5 favorite composers all had prolific careers here in Vienna, so you will see them all, starting with Mozart. He and Beethoven tower above the rest. I always say Mozart is my heart and Beethoven is my soul. So we're going to tour this garden a little bit, and then we're going to go see Beethoven. His monument is possibly more spectacular than Mozart's. Here is a memorial to the great Franz Josef, depicted in old age here. As I said, in the Volksgarten, when he was younger, he was extremely good looking, a very hardworking emperor who actually had audiences with his subjects. You could make an appointment, a 5-minute appointment, and come to the Hofburg or Schönbrunn and have a short audience with the emperor to express your gratitude or discuss a concern. He rose at 3 in the morning and worked until late in the evening and took his duties as emperor very seriously. But quite a lovely spot to commemorate his reign. I'm standing across from the Vienna State Opera. The house was built between 1861 and 1869. There was such public outcry at its completion that the architect committed suicide. So this is one of those times where it's unbelievable as I stand in front of something so beautiful. You have to wonder how could people see something so differently, but it is a wonderful house and beautiful inside, gorgeous inside, and they do offer guided tours in many different languages. The entrance to those tours is just right around that side. Definitely well worth it to visit this one in Vienna, and I'll show you some of the opera house from different angles. I've climbed up the stairs at the Albertina Museum at the very end of the Hofburg Palace for this view. I think this is the most spectacular view of the Opera House, especially at night. So if you come here, do yourself a favor and come to this spot. You will not regret it. Now I'm on the southern side of the Opera House, and the reason I'm stopping here is because if you are coming to Vienna, you should look on the website at the schedule, because at least in the summer when the opera is in session, or I'm not sure what you call that, when the opera's in season, they put a huge screen up right here and tons of chairs out here on the plaza, and they show the performance that's happening inside out here. So even if you're not an opera fan, you know, it would be worth it to stroll by for a few minutes, stop, take a seat, and enjoy a little bit of the performance happening inside. This is a world-class opera company, one of the best in the world, so you would be getting quite a treat if you were able to see at least a piece of the performance from outside. I have arrived at Beethovenplatz, or Beethoven Square. It is just off the Ringstrasse, named obviously after the great composer, with this massive monument to commemorate him. When I listen to Mozart, I feel joy, excitement, complete astonishment at the magnificence of his work. When I listen to Beethoven, I feel every emotion. And that was the power of Beethoven. He conveyed his emotions through his works, and his audience felt those emotions when they were listening to his works. Truly one of the greatest composers, deaf for most of his career, which was probably due to abuse at the hands of his father. But nonetheless, he obviously wrote tremendous works that he never heard in the way we hear them, which I think is a little bit heartbreaking. I'm now entering the Stadt Park, or City Park, one of Vienna's first parks. I think it was opened right around the time of the Volksgarten. Again, all of this was military fortifications and city walls that protected the city from the 13th century all the way till the mid 19th century. And this park was built to give a space, more space to the people to enjoy the outdoors. And one of its famous features is this monument to Johann Strauss II, or Johann Strauss the son. His father, Johann Strauss I, or Johann Strauss the father, was also a composer, but Strauss II is more famous of the two. I'm not the biggest fan. My mother, it's her favorite composer, and so we usually go to a concert to hear some of his music while we are here. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble speaking. But really lovely gold gilded monument. It's insane later today how many people will be lining up to walk up there and get their picture taken with him. Beautiful morning here. It just is my favorite time of the day. People are still sleeping. It's Sunday morning. So you have all these places. Well, it feels like to yourself. I guess I gotta play dodgems here with the sprinkler, but there's flowers everywhere in this city, and I just love that so much. Whoa, where are you going? Jesus. It's a little crisp for me because I'm used to 100+ degree weather, so it's probably 67 degrees, so that's a little chilly for me. So I certainly don't want to be nailed with a thick stream of water right now, but it's just so lovely. I mean, We have nothing like this in Palm Springs. San Francisco had Golden Gate Park, but certainly not as magnificent as what you see here in Vienna. Lovely pond here. In June, you can see all the little ducklings just would have hatched, and this pond is full of them. But yeah, I mean, Schönbrunn is still definitely my favorite place to go walking, but the Stadt Park and Volksgarten aren't too shabby either. I'll be back with some more footage in just a bit. Here's another one of my five favorite composers, Franz Schubert. He died at the young age of 31. What a loss to the musical world. Sadly for him, he wasn't successful during his lifetime. Most of his works weren't performed while he was alive, and it wasn't until a decade or two after his death when other composers started championing his works that they became part of the standard repertoire. He had really probably an unparalleled ability to write for the voice. Well, that is a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I gotta say, hats off to those other content creators who do regular vlogs, because this is not easy. You get tongue-tied, and sometimes what your brain is telling you to say doesn't make it to your mouth. So there were a few missteps along the way, but nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed it and are seeing Vienna through my eyes and what I love so much about it. So stay tuned. There will be more vlogs coming, but I'm gonna sign off, and this is about 2 hours to do all this, so I'm a little bit pooped and tired. I'm gonna go back to the Airbnb and eat something and see if my mother is up and ready to go, but I'm guessing that's a no. So thanks so much for joining me. Please comment below, and I will see you soon.